Unity Spiritual Center of Lansing. I'm Reverend Sharon Ketchum, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to our new Unity campus out here on Washington Road. We have this beautiful nature scene behind us. Wow, our mission, though we may have moved, is still to spiritually awaken to our oneness with God, each other, and all creation. And we are inspired by a vision where we see a world powerfully transformed through a growing movement of a shared spiritual awakening. And we say shared because we understand it's not like finding the right and perfect answer, but it's about honoring ourselves and each other, whichever path that we are on right now and wherever we are on that path. So I'd like to begin service with an ecumenical prayer as we open our hearts and minds, knowing that the enlightenment of the Buddha shines within us, the compassion of the Christ moves through us, the power of Jehovah strengthens and guards us, the presence of Allah surrounds and guides us. Wherever we are, the Tao is, and all is God. Well, it's been another week. We've all survived this week. And yesterday was a very special day. It's sometimes called Bell Train on May 1st or May Day. And basically what's happened is humanity needed something between the beginning of spring and the beginning of summer. So right smack in the middle, we kind of celebrate flowers and just life in the middle of that. And yesterday, if you are a horse racing fan, was the Kentucky Derby, won by Medina Spirit. So our family always had a tradition. We would place some dollar bets just on the long shot and put on our hats at home and just kind of sit there and enjoy the races. If you've been on Facebook, you already know that our goslings have had the geese babies. And actually, we have two families walking around the grounds here. We have a whole bunch for Arbor Day, we planted, I think it was 14 new trees as well as 114 bushes all around our property line. This is in code with the township of Delhi. And Home Street, our previous building at 230 South Holmes, has a new owner as of Friday. So it's been quite a week. And as much as we have to celebrate and enjoy the flowers and everything else, we know that in the world there have been some things that really, to me, demand our prayer. And right now, it's certainly India and South America who are having really huge increases in COVID that have stressed out their systems to cope with it. So let's just begin today's service with a prayer for our neighbors in this world, wherever, near and far. So we, in this moment, pray with understanding and deepest compassion in our hearts, knowing that in spite of outer appearances, divine light always shines, even in what appears to be the darkest moments. We bless medical communities around the world, essential workers, all who are devoted to serving others, and particularly in these most remarkable times of need. We bless those in grief, whatever their loss, knowing that God within them is their strength. We look beyond outer appearances and lift our gaze to remember our unity, our humanity, centered in God's divine presence within each of us. We know the truth for each person in our neighborhood and on this planet, that we are all guided by wisdom, arising in love as we act in ways that foster peace and wholeness for all. And so it is. Amen. And let's just take a moment while we're in that prayerful mode to bless us, this community, Unity Spiritual Center of Lansing, which is really you and me. So, Unity Spiritual Center of Lansing is embracing a journey of incredible spiritual growth. We bless the times of wandering, the times of wondering, of sitting in the question, giving thanks that each path that has ended has led us in a new direction to greater blessings, greater possibilities. We are right now living as a greater expression of love, a force for good in our neighborhood and in each of our lives. We are receptive to the handprint of God guiding us to a greater understanding, to unlimited possibilities, to new opportunities where we can be a living, meaningful gift to our world. And so it is. Allah, Shalom, Amen, Namaste. And with that, normally we, in old days, pre-pandemic, we would reach out and touch. We would say hello to each other. We would share hugs and a handshake. But we are starting a new way of doing things. This is a new world that we're all entering. We are all newcomers to this thing. So we are learning to, one thing is love rubbing your hands together and just sharing energy with each other. And you just feel a little tingling in the palm of your hands. And that's a real blessing to everybody. Or just a simple namaste. Your thumbs go to your heart and you bow to that divine presence within each one that you greet. So we'll keep practicing that. When we get back together, we will have safe behavior to make everybody feel comfortable. And it's May 2nd now, but it's the first Sunday in May, so it's Happy Birthday Sunday. And you know, I read this great quote I wanted to share with you today. It said, the first fact about the celebration of a birthday is that it is a way of affirming defiantly and even flamboyantly that it's a good thing to be alive. Yeah. So, Laura, Nancy, Cindy, Sharon Leininger, Roger, Ann, Rex, Susie, Laura, my son Damien, and you, if you have a birthday in May, please accept our singing. Hap. Okay, good. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, you're wonderful. Don't anybody tell you anything different? Happy birthday to you. Thank you. Chris.
Thank you. Today's daily word is grace, inspired by the Gospel of John. From God's grace, we have all received grace upon grace. We don't need to do anything to earn or deserve the grace of God, because it is always present, ours to claim in any situation. Grace dawns in our awareness as soon as we move beyond the limits of our human understanding. We let go and let the peace, love, wisdom, and strength of God fill us, lift us, and guide us. In both the challenging and the ordinary moments of life, the grace we give and the grace we receive keep the awareness of God in our hearts. During a tough conversation, a thought comes to mind that helps reestablish harmony. As we mull an important decision, a fresh insight clarifies our thinking. Feeling overwhelmed by our to-do list, we feel renewed energy and move forward with strength and enthusiasm. In these moments and more, we discover grace anew. Today's affirmation is, the grace of God is alive in me. Let's affirm that together. The grace of God is alive in me. For the month of May, we are focusing on our core value and practice of prayer. Prayer is a powerful tool available to each of us to co-create the lives our hearts desire. It brings us into alignment with God's mind. It strengthens our resolve and lifts us above apparent circumstances to a greater understanding and a more effective course of action. Prayer can never be used up. It can never be worn out. We celebrate the magnifying power of prayer that comes when we consciously join together in prayer. Day by day, prayer is our spiritual practice, raising us above our challenges into unifying solutions. Let us affirm together. We acknowledge, celebrate, and practice the transformative power of prayer. Today, we are coming to you by live streaming from our new sanctuary on Washington Road. While the building is still closed to in-person meetings, we continue to offer classes on Zoom. Mondays at 1:30, we have a Course of Love with Lucille Olson. Wednesdays at 6 p.m. is our prayer circle with Peggy Higginbotham. Thursdays at 7 p.m. is A Course in Miracles with Dan and Carol Maynard. Monday through Fridays, the Zoom room is open to everyone for Conversation Cafe, an informal time to see some other faces and talk about whatever comes up. Again, the Zoom link can be found at the Unity Spiritual Center Lansing Facebook page or contact the church office. Also, there have been 114 bushes and 14 trees recently planted at our new home. We need to water these young plants every other day. If you'd like to take on a day or a section, contact the church office. One team that is still very active is our prayer team. If you have prayer requests, you can make them on our website, email the church office, or make a request at our Wednesday night prayer service. Thank you. Stay put. Oh yeah, Greg Denning, our soloist today. The famous Greg Denning. Okay. Well, while you're doing that, Reverend Sharon, the Conversation Cafe, is that 11 to 12 or is that any time during the day? 11 to 12 on the daily Conversation Cafe.
Yeah, we may have run our gamut with that, and a lot of people are stopping in right now.
Okay.
Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow. Someone warm them from below till the rain comes tumbling down. Pulling weeds and picking stones, man is made of dreams and bones. Feel the need to grow my own, 'cause the time is close at hand. Grain for grain, sun and rain, find my way in nature's chain. Tune my body and my brain to the music from the land. Plant your own straight and long, temper them with prayer and song. Mother Earth will make you strong if you give her love and care. Old Crow watching hungrily from his perch in yonder tree. In my garden I am as free as that feathered thief up there. Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow. Someone warm them from below till the rain comes tumbling down.
Thank you, Greg. What a perfect song this first Sunday in May when there's all these celebrations about flowers and we're just in the heart of spring season. One thing I found that May, any city is just the most beautiful, I think, in May. Things are just coming out and flowering, and I would advise you if you're moving someplace to also check it in December and January to see if that's what you really want. Well, I promised my grandson I'd say hello to him because he's going to watch us live streaming this morning. So, hi, Luke. How are you? And I have a little story just for you, Luke, and everybody else can listen too. There was a duck, a skunk, and a deer who went out to dinner at a restaurant one night. They were still within capacity. It was safe. When it came time to pay, I have to tell you, the skunk didn't have a cent. The deer didn't have a buck. So they put the meal on the duck's bill. Can you forgive me for that pun? Well, we are in a series about spiritual toolbox, that we all have little skills that we have developed over the years to help us navigate through life and all those things that happen in life. And the toolbox, this wonderful bright yellow thing, so I can find it, is really the basic premise is there is only one power, one presence in the world. That is showing up as you and me, showing up as everything, that definition of oneness, that this is the one power and presence, and we are part of it. We are not all of it, but it is all of us. And so some of the tools we've talked about so far, the idea of gratitude, which kind of increases our vibration to draw to us those things that we want. Imagination, this great creative power that we have to imagine something different than what is, creating something new, if you will, planting seeds and helping them grow. We talked about kindness as a great tool because it has this triple blessing where it puts the feel-good hormones within us, in the person receiving our kindness, and if it's a planned kindness, that actually has a de-stressor hormone that's released within our body. An ecology, that we are in this system of relationships. Our spiritual tools are recognizing that none of us are singular. It's this interconnectedness, this ecosystem of all of life that we are part of. And then last week we talked about trust and faith. And let me see, I had the God can, reminds me that when I can't, God can. If we're going to trust God, quite frankly, a lot of times we don't trust this oneness within the universe. And last week I mentioned that we were turning over how we get the accessibility ramp to the lodge portion of our building done, and we turned that over to God. This week I'm consciously turning over getting the upgraded code-compliant fire alarm system into our building, because it's very confusing. It's way over my head. I don't know, but God knows, so we'll let that one go there. And then as our trust increases, our faith deepens too. And a rock is very often the symbol of faith because it's solid. Having our faith as something solid, that old saying that fear knocked at the door, faith answered, no one was there. When our faith is solid, we don't get into those fearful moments. A couple of my tools there. So today we are going to deal with the spiritual tool of forgiveness. Yeah, I can hear the groans. People go, oh, not again. Why do they always go back to forgiveness? I'm through with that. I'm so through with that, yeah. But, forgiveness is really the gift we give ourselves. It's the best self-love we can give ourselves, to love ourselves enough not to hold unforgiveness in our hearts. And I was thinking about unforgiveness, as you know, there's an old saying, as above, so below, that the patterns repeat within our universe. And we know that the universe is expanding and growing in energy. I don't know what it expands into yet, but someday we might. But they also have found these black holes that suck in energy, and we don't know what happens to them. And I think when we hold unforgiveness in our heart, it's like having a black hole that sucks in our energy. It depletes us, and it takes more and more effort just to do our normal things because it's this heavy weight that is on us. And when we harbor unforgiveness about anyone or anything in our minds and our hearts, it's really self-destructive. We know that it can cause physical symptoms to show up that are not healthy and are not comfortable. We know that it's exhausting and that it's sometimes even humiliating because we give this other person or event this power in our lives. It's really giving somebody the ability to live rent-free in your head. You know, they just walk the hallways of your head, and you're not charging them anything for it, but boy, are you paying for it, right? So we have things that trigger us, that put us right into that unforgiveness phase, and it's about finding triggers to get us untriggered. And, you know, Jesus put it real simple. He said, you know, when Peter asked him, how many times do you forgive? And he says, 7 times 70. 490 times, that's a lot. And, you know, there's exercise where you write down, I forgive so-and-so, and you write it out, and you write it out, and you write it out, and, you know, you get to about 120, 150, you go, what the heck am I doing? Why don't I just forgive? Just do it. The old Bob Newhart skit. Have you ever seen that where he's a therapist, somebody walks in and says, you know, I keep doing this thing, and I keep doing this thing, and it hurts me, and he goes, well, just stop it. Just stop it. The whole skit, just stop it. That's it, stop it. It's the same way with forgiveness. Just forgive, let it go. So, you know, I have this kind of helium balloon here. And, you know, I could let this go, and it's just going to go right up, but it's tied to something. And how often do we say we forgive, but we're going to keep just a little bit there, just in case it happens again, so I can go back to it. So we forgive, but not totally, just a little attachment. And we have repeat offenders in our life that, boy, they know where our buttons is. They push that thing, and we are just so filled with unforgiveness. And we just when we forgive them, darn it, there they go and do it again. Do it again. So one little trick that I find for that, Trish Clark in Kitchener, she had shared this with me. And when she had that difficulty with somebody, visually she had a love cupboard. And she would put them in the love cupboard. That's all that was in there was love. And she would stick them in there. And amazingly, you know, our mind, I know it's imagination, it's energy. Energy manifests. And when we set those kind of tones and vibration, things actually shift. And of course, it shifts with us. Because if it's in our love cupboard, every time we think of them, we're thinking of love. So we start breaking down those patterns that were existing before. So however you can visualize what it really means to be forgiving, to really let go of the unforgiveness. You know, if it was later in the year, we could blow dandelions. Oh yeah, here, my spiritual toolbox. This is a good one. Balloon, or not balloon, bubble. You know, sometimes it's really helpful to picture, because it's nothing. What you are unforgiving about is something that happened in the past. It's over. It doesn't exist anymore. Just like that bubble, it could finally where did they go? Where did the bubble go when it burst? It's just gone. That's it. No more. Okay. And there's a wonderful song based on a prayer attributed to St. Francis. It says, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there's hatred, sow love. Where there's offense, pardon. Because we know that when we give is truly when we receive. When we pardon somebody else in our mind and hearts, that's when we are pardoned from carrying that burden. Okay, I want to give you one other thing to consider, especially if you have one or more people in your life that keep jumping out of the love cupboard and showing up as that barbed thing that just tears at you. We can often fall into a trap of criticizing others, of really seeing what's wrong. And once you've found a list, boy, you can collect evidence for that list that keeps growing and growing. And we know that what we focus on grows. So if there's somebody that annoys us and we start realizing all the things they do to annoy us, we're going to be annoyed even more because that's what we're focusing on. It's just a wonderful how that works. So I want to give you the Baskin-Robbins principle. Baskin-Robbins has 31 flavors of ice cream. And they also have pistachio ice cream, which I do not find in the least appealing. But they have 30 other flavors. So I'm not going to stop going to Baskin-Robbins because they have pistachio ice cream. I just take what I like and just leave the rest. There's no big deal. I'm not going to start picketing Baskin-Robbins because they have pistachio ice cream. I'm not going to put them on my hate list or need to forgive list. I just enjoy what I enjoy and let the rest go, just like those bubbles. Let go. There's there's not one person, I believe, that has done something that we interpreted has harmed us or hurt us, that doesn't have something good in them, because we're all part of this one power, one presence, this vibration of love, of life. Jesus said, "Love one another as I have loved you." And he really had a practice of forgiveness. And so our purpose in life is to love one another. I really adhere to that as part of my spiritual path. And so to practice that, think about it, we need to repeatedly keep doing this forgiveness thing. Charles Fillmore, Unity co-founder, every night he used to kind of check back over his day and see where he needed to forgive so it didn't kind of build up as a heap of stuff to take care of. Because we know it has no benefit to us to hold resentment and condemnation in our hearts. When we hold that in our hearts, what happens is it keeps us from living our purpose. How can we love one another if we have a heart that's filled with resentments, filled with grievances that need to be aired? And to do this, emotionally is not always simple. Emotionally can be very taxing, and it really calls us up to that higher level of self-reflection and self-understanding and kind of a spiritual maturity. So it's part of, I think, all of our paths as we grow in our spiritual awareness. Now, you may be sitting there going, I've done my forgiveness work. I have nothing left to forgive. And I would like to ask you, what about COVID? I need to do some forgiveness work around COVID-19. I'm kind of irked. And with COVID, it's like a hide-and-seek game. We have grudges about what it's taken away from us. But at the same time, we've gotten a lot of gifts. But it's so much easier to look at the things that are awful and forget the gifts that we've been given through this. And in the grudges, there are missed birthdays, there are missed graduations, retirements, weddings, funerals, vacations, lunches, card games. I think of my grandson Luke. It's his junior year in high school, and he's missing what I had as high school, missing all that camaraderie, I'm kind of irked at COVID for what it took away from my loved ones. But yet there were so many blessings and gifts. I think because of COVID, we were led to this wonderful new spiritual home as a community. I don't know that it would have happened if the world was in a different situation. It was a wonderful divine order. I know that myself, my car's going to last another year because I hardly drove it at all this year. Great to having low gas bills, right? Last March, we were able to adopt 2 kittens from the shelter, and we could acclimate to them because we were home so much, so they got real used to us. They act more like dogs and cats because we were around them so much. I was able to focus and clean out certain areas of my home. I wish I'd done more of that, but I still have some time left, I guess, to work on that. And even relatives that I hadn't talked to for years, we made that point of getting together on Zoom to share stories. Colleagues of mine from ministerial school, we got together to talk a few times. One of our colleagues passed. And otherwise, you keep thinking, someday I'll talk to them. They're kind of in your mind, but you don't do that thing. So there has been great gifts. So even a thing like COVID may beg for some forgiveness in our hearts. Which brings me up to one of our 12 powers, these 12 faculties, these gifts from God that we embody from the moment of inception of being a person. And this is the power of elimination or of release or purification, if you will. There's a saying that says you got to stop watering dead flowers. Yeah, I mean, we can spend a lot of time watering dead flowers, whether it's unforgiveness or things that just aren't serving us, that just stay in our bodies, our mind, or even our environment. And I have to admit that anything that I've really let go of might have some claw marks on it. I want to, but just in case, maybe I want to keep a little weight on the helium balloon. So if I need it back, I know it's just an arm's stretch away. Well, the faculty, the power within us to release it's like our spiritual eraser, which is what I have in my toolbox. I got 2 erasers. One says delete. Yeah, we all have those buttons on our computer that say delete, right? The other one says wrong. And sometimes the things I've done wrong are the hardest thing to just let go of. I replay that thing in my past over and over again in my mind and go, yeah, you were really wrong. You really messed that one up. And yeah, it's a wonderful tool. Just, let me see. Oh yeah, here's the pad. Yeah, I have a grievance. They did this to me, and I can just take this and it just erases off. Now, don't cheat and just erase it a little bit. You got to erase it the whole way. And it's a really big eraser, so it'll take you there. But anyway, that's a really great faculty that we have. And if you think release is not important, think if you have everything right now in your house that you've ever had in your life. You wouldn't even be able to get into your house. Think if your body kept all the food you ever consumed. Yeah. Anyway, it's important to release. We know that it's really important to release. When we don't, it's like sludge. I'll tell you, I guess it was about 2 weeks ago, we have a commercial kitchen here, and commercial kitchens, I didn't know this, have grease traps. And the grease goes out, and it's kind of like a septic tank, and the grease goes in one side, and as it emulsifies, the liquid goes over into another side. So we had these grease traps that were there. In order to move in here, we had to have them drained. You can't have full grease traps. I guess that's one of those things. Okay, so now you know that, as I do. And what had happened was the cover to the area where the grease went was covered under grass. So when they came out to check it several times a year, they were testing the other side that was empty. They said, oh, good to go. It's an empty grease trap. And so we found the side with the grease. Okay. It holds 3,300 gallons of grease that have been in there for at least 17 years. We had to bring out rooter to break up the grease in order that the guy could suck it out like you do a septic tank and clean that thing up. It's really important to let things go. Who wants to spend the energy of holding that around? We won't even go over to the smell, the aroma in the air that day, but maybe that's what it smells like when we actually release those things that we have held on to for 17 years until it just solidifies. So you really got to break it up even to get rid of it. So if you want to see how attuned you are to releasing those things that don't serve you, just listen to these questions and see if you can answer yes or no in them. Okay, I am willing to let the collective shadow of humanity be healed, giving up anything that isn't loving. How comfortable are you saying yes? And then if we bring it a little more personal, I am willing to heal my shadow side and accept those parts of me that don't make me proud. Maybe yes, maybe no. See, that release, it takes some work. I'm willing to release my indifference to the suffering of millions of people around the world. When it's collective, it feels a little easier to say yes to. I am willing to do that. I am willing to forgive anyone who has ever done me wrong. Anyone, everyone, except the ones I'm going to pull back with me, huh? Just put that one behind me. Okay, how about I am willing to stay open to the possibility that everything, every delay, every accident, every mess up, every success is in divine order. Wow, I mean, we are living proof as a community, from the fire 18 months ago to where we are today. It was in divine order. Didn't feel like it at the time, But if we can stay in that place, if we can eliminate the fear, step into our faith, release those attachments to what appears to be like a mistake at the time, which might just be redirecting us into really the answers to everything that we've prayed about in our heart. And if you can't release what's happening, I mean, the whole thing, this power is so good, you'll need to be simply willing. And if you can't be willing to do it, willing to release it, then maybe you can be willing to be willing. And if even that brings some pushback, how about be willing to be willing to be willing? And you keep going back until you find a level of willingness that does not meet with resistance. Yeah? That one level of willingness. It's really about deciding for yourself. Are you going to seek the weakness in others, the weakness in the stuff that you've accumulated, or are you going to seek the greatness within yourself? Yeah, they both take an investment of energy, and you get to choose where you're going to put it. It's like you get out and you play your heart out, and you let go of the rest. If you're present, if you're showing up, you're just, that's in love, showing up in love. Let go of anything else. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, it will fade away, or you will find that that was a step in a miraculous incident that was coming to shape in your life, greater than anything you ever could have imagined. And as you're honing your skill on release, I want to give you a little protective gear. I think protective gear is always great. We have our masks that we wear when we're in crowds of people. And the protective gear is the power of the word no. It's okay to say no. This is one I work on a lot. No. So you don't have to release if you don't take on the extra baggage. You don't have to forgive if you hadn't taken on the unforgiveness. So if you can say no, maybe it's to yourself, or maybe it's to somebody. How many times has somebody asked you to do something and the word no would not come out of your mouth? It just kind of stuck there. And then you begrudge this the whole time. I don't have the 2 hours to do this. Why did I say yes, I would do this? Really understanding it's okay to say no. Really understanding that saying no means that when you say yes, it means even more. How much more powerful is a yes when sometimes you say no? So saying no does not make you a bad person. Saying no could actually make you a very healthy person. So just want to share that with you. We are now going to go into a time of meditation, and you can say no if you don't want to do that. That's quite okay. I won't hold it against you. But if you're saying yes to this, I just invite you to make yourself comfortable. Just take a few deep breaths. And Jeff's going to set a little mood music here to just bring us into that softness of the beginning of May, that softness of life. That place where there is nothing to forgive, nothing to release but our next breath. That space within us where we find the peace, the harmony, the oneness. As we set aside thinking of things we have to do, or errant thoughts that might be running through our mind, we take a breath that breathes through our body, a breath that comes in from the top of our head and exits through our feet, a breath which comes up from the ground and fills our heart, a breath that moves in through our heart and out through our hands. That one presence is breathing us, even as we are breathing it. I bring an invitation to you to picture a younger version of yourself, whatever age that might be. Just a version of yourself that is not today. As you bring that version to mind, 4, 40, 24, 82, anything younger, than this moment. Ask your younger self, what are you feeling? And listen. Ask again, what are you feeling? Listen. And one more time, what are you feeling? Listen. Listen without judgment. Listen with compassion. And then in this dialogue with your younger self, confirm to them what you heard. I heard you're feeling powerless. I heard that you're hurting. I heard that you feel confused. And then ask them what they need, not what you're going to do to fix it, but what do they need? Ask 3 times, what do you need from me? Listen. What do you need from me? Listen. What do you need from me? Listen. Take a deep breath and simply confirm back. I am here to support you. I am here to love you. I am here to give you what you need. For we are one that has been released from the past, one that is free of anything that was burdensome, one ready, willing, and able to live into our purpose of loving one another, even as we love ourselves. Another deep breath. As we bring our attention back to the room with yet a new tool to connect with those recesses of our minds and hearts which may hold snippets of unforgiveness, snippets of extra baggage. We bless and let it go. And so it is. Amen. That's a great exercise, and if it resonated with you, I really encourage you to try it a couple times, picking, let different ages of yourself come to mind, different, whether, I said you were a youngster, a teenager, 20-something, 30-something, whatever. Because what happens is we find out those areas of us that feel unfulfilled, that have concerns, that have emotional, as we're carrying those, it's like having an albatross around our neck. And you know that version about you have an albatross around your back? That actually comes from a poem, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. And what happens is a sailor shot a friendly albatross, and they were so angry with him, they made him wear the albatross around his neck as a punishment. So I want to tell you today, right here and right now, that you have the ability, the power to remove all albatrosses from your neck. Whoa, feels a whole lot lighter. And not only that, you got the ability to say no. So what are you going to do now? Well, I know what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite Greg Denning to come back up and share another piece of music with us. Thank you, Greg.
I awoke this morning to a shattering sound. I went downstairs and found these shards of glass strewn all around. And there upon the floor I found this poor broken dove, and it made me realize how very fragile is this life that we so love. I came back up to bed and I held you so tight, and I prayed up to the Father, oh I prayed with all my might, that he'd always keep you with me, that he'd always keep you safe. And when I went downstairs I found that dove had somehow up and flown away. There's magic every moment, there's a miracle each day. There's a magic every moment. Oh, won't you let the music play? Oh, won't you let the music play? On a high and windy island, I was gazing out to sea, when a long-forgotten feeling came and took control of me. It was then the clouds burst open and the sun came pouring through. When it hit those dancing waters, in an instant all eternity I knew. There's so much we take for granted, there's so much we never say. We get caught up in the motion of just living day to day. We are fettered to the future, we are prisoners of the past, and we never seem to notice till our lives have finally slipped right through our grasp. There's a magic every moment, there's a miracles each day. There's magic every moment. Oh, won't you let the music play? Oh, won't you let the music play? You can see forever in a single drop of dew. You can see that same forever if you look down deep inside of you. There's a spark of the Creator in every living thing. He respects me when I work, but he so loves me when I sing. There's a magic every moment, there's a miracles each day. There's a magic every moment. Oh, won't you let the music play? Oh, won't you let the music play? There's a magic every moment, there's a miracles each day. There's a magic every moment. Oh, won't you let the music play? Oh, won't you let the music play?
Woo! Thank you, Greg. Now is the time we celebrate our abundance, both as a community and for each of us individually. We acknowledge that God is our source of supply, which comes to us through many channels. You and I, as a Unity community, have had the necessary resources to meet each demand that has arisen as we modify our new home to meet safety codes. So it is especially important that we celebrate our prosperity as we continue to prepare for our building to fulfill its destiny. Allow the words of celebration I speak to you speak to be the words of our own heart. We join efforts in thought, prayer, and action to bless our earthly abundance, to meet all the needs of our spiritual home, even as our supply meets and exceeds our personal needs. We bless the gifts that have been given and the gifts we are about to receive. And so it is. Amen. Thank you to each of you who continue to so generously support this ministry during this extraordinary time. We are very grateful for those love offerings this ministry has received from all the members of this community, both online and through the mail. We are a tithing congregation, and it's with great joy that we share a portion of our tithes. The first quarter we share with the Firecracker Foundation. And our congregant's choice for the second quarter is the Greater Lansing Food Bank. They continue to do such a remarkable job responding to huge demands during this pandemic. We thank them for their selfless work and know that our gift will go forth to do great things. Even as we give thanks for the gifts that have blessed our Unity community, let us take a moment to celebrate the gifts that have blessed our lives personally. We get to practice that spiritual tool of gratitude, as well as increase our trust and deepen our faith as we acknowledge our many blessings. Whatever we have been blessed with this week, let us take a moment to express our deep appreciation for the love, the kindness, the support, the trust as we affirm, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I praise, give thanks, and am glad. Now let us join together in our closing song, I Choose Love, followed by the prayer of protection.
Peace in my life is growing because I choose love.
Love's always present, it's what we're made of. I choose love.
We are a part of each other.
We are one tie that binds us and can't be undone. I choose love. Peace on our planet is growing because I choose love. Love's always present, it's what we're made of. I choose love. We are all part of each other. We are one. One choice unites us, this be the one. I choose love. You choose love. We choose love.
The light of God surrounds us.
The love of God enfolds us.
The power of God protects us.
The presence of God
is within us.
Wherever we are, God is,
and
all is well. Amen. Thank you. Thank you. A little roundup for the band here. Dancing continues.